Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week, honestly, I'm gonna complain. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to go over some bookish pet peeves, see what you guys agree with, and, probably start some conversations of things you really don't agree with me on. I might piss you off a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over some pet peeves that have definitely developed. A lot of them really kind of are aimed at fantasy romance, which I'm newer to the subject. I do really, really like it. But there have definitely been some things, some very consistent things that I'm just pissed off about. Okay, so this is definitely going to be a bitch llama production, for sure. I woke up and decided to choose violence today, and I just wanted to share with you. Okay, which, by the way, if I say anything that you don't agree with or you hate or whatever, that's totally fine. I'm really hoping that I'm giving off the vibe of just big sister vibes. Okay, make fun of me, I'll make fun of you. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean in a big sister way. Okay, even if you read stuff that I don't like at all, I'm still gonna look at you like you dirty little slut. Tell me everything. I want to know all the details, okay? It might not be my bag that I want to spend my time on reading, but I still want to know about it. But if other people, give you a hard time, you let me know and I'll take care of them, okay? Cool. So hopefully you guys get that vibe. But anyways, I'll stop jib-jabbing. Let's just get into it. Let's just bitch for a little while, all right? So first things first, I'm going to take a sip of my Dunkies. First one is Audible. In theory, fantastic, right? Especially if you have a long commute like I do. I commute about 2 hours a day. So Audible can be great for listening to books. But here's my problem. For me, what I like is I like a full cast of actors. That's kind of rare, which is fine. That's not what I'm complaining about. But really my problem stems from the fact for the books that do have a full cast of actors, but they don't utilize it. It drives me nuts. I was just listening to The Never King, which is the #1 fairy tale, by the way, on Amazon fairy tale retelling. Wait till I get to my March wrap up. Trust me, I did not like that book. But they have a full cast of actors, right? But what they decided to do, they threw that the out the window. And what they decided to do is to have each actor read one of the chapters and have to do the voices for all the other characters. Even though they paid to have a full cast of actors. What? Why? Why? So when you're listening to the chick and she's reading her part of the story, and then the next chapter, you have the guy who's doing Peter Pan, who had an amazing voice. I won't lie. Very nice voice. But then he has to try and do a female voice to do her part. What? So nobody sounds the same chapter to chapter. I don't understand. I don't understand. And it makes me just mad. Okay? And it's a stupid thing. I don't know why they do that. You have a full cast. That's it. I feel like I could honestly rail on about that for 30 minutes about you had a full cast. Use it. But anyways, I'll just move on. So the next thing kind of is still pretty broad, and I know I've seen other people mention this. I'm sure you feel the same way about this, but it's titles in fantasy romance. It's a very consistent thing of blank and blank, or even more specifically, a court of blank and blank, which I am positive that is coming from Sarah J. Maas and A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay, I'm sick of it. It was a really cool name when Sarah J. Maas did it. I thought it was fun, but it's so freaking overdone at this point that honestly, I see a name like that and I immediately think Fae, which I'm also over, but I also just feel like it's not original. There's more than likely in my head, I'm thinking that you're copying Sarah J. Maas, and it's just not going to be fun for me to read. So I oftentimes don't really want to click on those unless they have a really pretty cover. I won't lie, because I'm a cover whore. Just a wee bit of a cover whore. But it bugs the living hell out of me. And like I said, fae, I'm over that. And it's very commonly, honestly, all books, even the ones that don't even have that sort of title structure, a lot of them on KU, it's fae. And it's been going on for years. Like, I remember when Sarah J. Maas, when A Court of Thorns and Roses first came out, and that's kind of the first introduction of fae, like, taking off, right? I wasn't even into it back then. I'm a vampire girl. Okay, I love me a vampire, and I will never get old with that. But the fae, I'm so tired of it. Mostly, I think, because a lot of it are fae that don't actually stick to the traditional lore. Because there can be a creepiness to fae, but because of Sarah J. Maas, it's more of just fairies who are hot and have wings. So, I'm over it. Okay, give me some trickster vibes. Give me some stuff with their glamour where they're actually really creepy looking, you know. I could also do with some more gore. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. But yeah, I'm over that too. So that's just a wee little bitch with the fae being everywhere. Absolutely freaking everywhere. Okay? I have a feeling, you guys let me know if you agree with this, but I feel like fae are starting to disappear, and now we're getting more like goblins and elves. I'm starting to see those a lot more. So tell me what you think. I could go back to the vampires again. But honestly, just anything a little bit different than fae. Or just give me creepy fae, okay? I don't feel like that's that much to ask for. All right. Cool. Next thing, I'll move on. So, kind of getting a little bit more inside the book now. Actually, no, before I go into that, I'm going to say this. And this is actually the one that I have a feeling I might start some fights over. So just prepare yourself. Take a breather, okay? But this has to do with romance, specifically dark romance, which I do like. But I'm over, and I'm hoping this is a trend, but I'm just kind of over the whole, like, abuse romance, as I'm going to call it. Do I think we need a better term for it? Yes, I do. And when I say abuse romance, I mean it's the type where the relationship between the main love interests is very, very abusive, and it's like deeply abusive. A lot of times it's almost like a violent sort of abusive, very degrading, very much like, oh, I'm going to kill your father and then you on top of his body sort of stuff. Along with just, you know, the way that they speak to each other isn't healthy, which is fine. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a good red flag in a male love interest in a book. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I'm not trying to come off as all high and mighty, baby. But I'm just so tired of seeing that everywhere, and that's being considered dark romance. Like, dark romance is starting to get this sort of label that it's abusive, and dark romance isn't actually that. It has been starting to change, that's why I feel, and this is my bitch thing, is that abuse romance I don't think should be considered dark romance. It can be like a subgenre of that, which again, if we get a better word for it, I think people will get on board for it. It'd also make it easier to search for a damn book that you're trying to look for, okay? Because I'm tired of trying to find a dark romance that doesn't have those massive abusive tones where that's kind of the central theme is abuse. I want dark where it's just like that dark atmosphere, that dark vibe, you know? Like, the best way I can describe it is Edgar Allan Poe, his work is considered dark. It's not gothic, it's dark. So I want those vibes where you have those, like, you're dealing more with the macabre and you're dealing with like kind of like dark death sort of tones. It doesn't have to be abuse, you know? So I feel like that's a subgenre, and it needs to actually be labeled that way, because there's a lot of people I've been seeing like on Reddit and people just talking online about how they don't even read dark romance anymore because it's not actually what it used to be. It's kind of basically getting flooded, inundated with all of this abuse-based romance. So I feel really strongly about that one. Okay? It's abuse romance. It is. Again, I can deal with it from time to time. It's not my favorite. I'm not really into the whole degradation thing, but like I said, I could do with a good red flag, as long as, like, you know, I want to see some character development there. But yeah, I'm going to stick by that. Okay, I don't know how you feel, but it would make it so much easier to try and find a dark romantic fantasy. Okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, getting into characters. The next thing is I'm kind of tired in fantasy romance. I've noticed this a lot. Granted, I haven't read, I'm sure, as many books as maybe even as you have, because I've only been reading fantasy romance really for the past couple months, 3 months, essentially. So obviously I haven't read a ton, but I have noticed a very consistent theme, even when I'm reading synopses to find books that I want to read, that the female characters, the female lead, is almost all identical across books, across authors, okay? And I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of this idea that only a strong female character who's a badass has to be someone who's incredibly obnoxious, who always has a snarky, sarcastic comment to give, who knows how to wield a weapon like an amazing warrior person from the past. I don't know. But I'm just so tired of it all being the same freaking girl. And I'm also tired that that's the only idea of what a strong woman is. Like, that is so lame. I'm sorry, but it is. Like, reading that occasionally, yeah, cool, that can be fine. I really, actually not really into the snarky, sarcastic, obnoxious chick. I really hate that. But I'm just really tired of all of them know how to wield a weapon and just have the perfect witty comeback that is just so snarky and putting men in their place, yada yada. And also oftentimes someone who is very sexually affluent and it's very like shoved down your throat that they love sex, all sorts of sex, and they've had sex with tons of different people. All right, granted, I read steamy romance, fantasy romance, I get it. Okay, part of that is because of the genre I read, but there's a spectrum, man. Like, we don't have to just have the virgin and have the woman who's just like sex, 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 sex in the morning, sex in the afternoon, and sex at night. All right, there is a spectrum, baby. All right. I also, even if you have a chick like that who, like, she's just really into sex, cool. You don't need to shove it down my throat every couple of pages that she is just like, whew, she's been around town, babe. All right. I don't need to know that constantly. You can say it once if you want, but god damn. So yeah, that bugs the hell out of me. I would love to just see, and I have read a couple where the female character like has different characteristics, you know, maybe someone who's scared but is very strong leader, incredibly compassionate, someone who is politically incredibly savvy. That's where her strength is, you know, like different things. Like, it doesn't always have to be, I can slit your throat without you ever even knowing I was in the room sort of stuff. Or just like, I can wield a freaking sword and cut through your entire body in one fell swoop because I'm so strong. You know, I need some diversity in that. Okay? Okay, one sec, I need a sip. Staying on the characters. The men. Oh, the men. Same thing. I'm tired of them kind of always being the same character. I do like a really good dark fantasy romance, and by dark, I don't mean that it always has to be an abusive guy. But I just want to be very transparent because I understand that this could be why. But I'm tired of the men always being like, they're always a very dominating character where it doesn't matter what anybody else says. They're very much the leader. They're choosing what goes. The girl could say anything. This doesn't just have to be about sex, but the girl can say anything and they're just gonna be like, nope, I'm right. This is what we're doing. Yada, yada. I'm gonna pick you up, throw you over my shoulder, and we're just gonna go do what I want to do. I'm kind of tired of that, you know? Like, where's the cinnamon roll? This is where my historical romance might be coming in. But there's so much more to men. There's so much other stuff to men than just the dominating. I choose what we're gonna do and you just have to listen to me, period. You need to be submissive and I need to be dominant. And that, again, doesn't have to be sexual. So, sorry if you hear the cars. But yeah, it's just, I'm tired of all the characters being the same. And again, I know I read KU and I read fantasy romance. I love to read indie authors. I like to give, you know, I want to put some light on them, not just the ones that are traditionally published, which is awesome in and of itself. Congrats that you've been traditionally published. But I like to read stuff that not everybody's reading. And granted that can be a lot of problems with that because they don't have an editor. But I'm just so tired of it. I want different people, man. I want to read about different people. And I don't want them to always constantly have this snarky, bickering sort of dialogue where they basically just sound like the same character because they have the same snarky remarks. That's the other thing. I've noticed a lot of authors have a tendency to, especially in reverse harem books, they kind of all sound the same. All of their dialogue, all their comments to each other. It's basically all the same. It's some snarky, obnoxious, sarcastic comment meant to put them in their place. I don't know. Like I said, I decided to wake up and choose violence today. I just want to bitch, 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 bitch. Moving on. So the sex scenes. Let's get into that. So recently, someone has left a comment on one of my videos, and she was really, really great to say this because I was starting to wonder this myself. But she was telling me how it is me. So I recognize this. But I'm hoping I can find some authors that are just, they're jiving with me. We're vibing. I can find you. I can read your work. I can give you 5 stars, all that jazz when it comes to sex. Because I'm really tired of the whole using like these sorts of words constantly, repetitively, and in softer scenes, like where they're making love, not where they're okay? So, but she had told me that really is me. And it's because I'm coming from historical romance. I'm used to having more of those softer words where it really kind of more focuses around what the characters are feeling in the moment. It's not giving you the specific word of what's happening in that place. They obviously know how to write what's going on to give you the idea of what body parts are being used, but they don't constantly use these very harsh words. So I don't mind if I occasionally see it, that's fine. But I think the problem is, especially in fantasy romance, steamy fantasy romance, is it's like those are the only words that authors know. They don't realize that there's this is gonna sound really, really bitchy, but they don't use damn thesaurus and realize that there's other words for these body parts. Okay? Or honestly, just other methods to get the reader to understand what's going on in the scene. Sorry, I'm gonna bitch about it. If that's your thing, cool, babe. Cool. But these words are just like everywhere. And like I said, you'll see them like anywhere from like 5 to 10 times on one page, which any other situation when you're writing, you look like an amateur when you do that. If you just use the same exact word every time, use the damn synonym. Oh my God, it drives me mad. It pulls me out. It's terrible. I really hate that. I'm sorry. If you love it, good. I'm glad you're having a good time, okay? I really, really am. But I am getting destroyed, okay? I just need someone who knows how to write it in a manner where I can stay in the scene, okay? And not get jarred out and be like, oh my God, what the hell's happening? What the hell's happening? So, yeah. Sex seems to just not be written in a manner that I really like with fantasy romance, and I'm kind of bummed. I'm bummed. I like a good sex scene. I don't want porn, but like, I like a good sex scene. I think it can add a lot to characters. This is the other thing, actually, thinking about it. Oh my gosh. So I've noticed in fantasy romance, especially lately, steamy, smutty scenes seems to be, it's a trend, I would actually say right now, where you're seeing it a lot in published books and you're seeing it obviously a lot in KU. That's kind of expected. But it's kind of just like thrown in there to happen. So there's kind of almost a lot of insta-love or just kind of instant scenarios where they're having sex. Maybe they're not in love yet. But it's very prevalent, I've noticed. Authors aren't really taking the time and putting in the work to actually create anticipation, which I guess you could argue is a slow burn, but I would say it's not all of them are slow burn. You can build up anticipation for these characters to come together. You want people to root for them to come together, but that's not really happening. It kind of just seems like they're just saying, okay, and they saw each other once and now they're f***ing, you know? I don't know, I want to fall in love with the character, I guess is what it is. And that is not really happening. Historical romance, that's literally the plot line. So that could definitely be where I'm getting mad. But I've just noticed in fantasy romance, they don't take the time to actually kind of write the relationship. It just kind of happens. So that gets very frustrating for me. So there's that. And then I guess lastly, this is the last thing I'm going to do because otherwise this video is going to get too long. But this is kind of a weird one. But there's this obsession with putting coffee in everything. And I know that sounds weird, but it's true. So like a lot of the stuff that I've read, fantasy romance. So fantasy, a lot of times not even dealing with the same world that we're in. Or they're literally going to an entirely different realm, right? Or they're going to the underworld, okay? Trust me, I'm going to talk about this in a future video about death. But coffee is always there. I've come across stuff where it's called magical bean juice and stuff like that. And you're just like, come on. But it's just, I'm at a point where I'm like, I thought we were in a different world. Like, why are we so obsessed about this? Like, this is literally a waste of the reader's time to put this much emphasis on coffee. Okay, like it's freaking weird. Like there's an obsession with coffee. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say. So, yeah. So yeah, that's my bitch fest for you guys. I'm curious if you agree on any of that or if you're just kind of like, you are insane. But yeah, that's all. That's what I wanted to talk about. But anyways, I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to go over my birthday book haul because I'm getting some books for my birthday that I'm very excited about. But I will see you guys then. Otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your week. If you like this, please leave a thumbs up and I'll check you later. Bye.